Well, hey, beauties, welcome back. It's our weekly Talk and Tap Tapinar. And here with me today is my regular guest and tapping partner, Candy Campbell, host of the Awaken Hope Show. And before we get started on today's topic, I want to tell you about what's going on with us because since we started partnering here and I'm going over to her show, recording a couple times a month, we've decided to take this even further. And so Candy has created a beautiful 12-week group program that I'm taking part in. I'm going to be creating incredible tapping experiences for the participants and downloadable tapping scripts and audios and things like that. So I just wanted to let you know about that because you're going to be able to register fairly soon, and there's an early sign up bonus, and it's limited to 12 participants, which makes this very, very special. And, first come, first serve. So I will leave the link below for you to make sure you go over to Candy's show and sign up because it's really an exciting time for us to share this with you. So welcome back, Candy. It's so good to have you here again.
Oh, thank you, Sandy. I'm so honored and grateful for our partnership and your willingness to work with me because I know you bring a great deal of blessings and just wonderful things to my show, to your talk and Tapinar, and together we're just making great things happen. And yeah,
Yeah.
I'm thankful. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's like, look out, world, as we're coming your way. So today, before we jumped on, we thought there's a topic that keeps coming up for us, and it's resiliency. So we thought we'd work on that today, discuss it, do some tapping, and
Mhm.
see how you are when you measure how resilient you are when things come up for you, because sometimes we get stopped in our tracks, and we need to be able to function, and sometimes it takes us down and it's really hard. But also I find resiliency comes in with work, that I know the things that I want to do, but I get sort of resistant sometimes to actually sitting down and doing it.
Mhm.
It's probably especially because I work from home, but think about how ways that your resiliency is tested. So, Candy, tell me about resiliency in your world, and what is it that can hinder that, and what is it you want to strengthen?
Well, I mean, for me personally, I've had some events that have could have easily, if I'd allowed them to, easily taken me down to a hole. Um, Life can happen. Life happens to each and every one of us. None of us are immune to it.
Hmm.
But the difference, I would say, at least, is you go through, you may find yourself in a hole, which I recently did. Instead of staying there, I felt what was going up, what was coming up. I processed the feelings, the emotions. It took me about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. And then I decided I'm not going to stay here. I pulled myself up by my big girl pants and I just kept walking forward. Now, our paths are not linear as much as we like to think that, we want linear paths. They're not. But I just kept on walking and I refused to give in to the emotion that was trying to keep me stuck in that hole. That things weren't going to get better. Things were, this was the best that it was going to be, and I choose not to align with that.
Hmm.
I don't know the how and I don't know the when for stuff, but I do know that it's here and things are coming and I just have to keep walking just one step at a time.
Yes. Yeah, that's so beautiful. And I know, you know, listeners, if you haven't heard us discuss in the previous tapping that we've done here and also on Candy's show, we have worked on what Kathy, what Candy was working on. We worked on it with tapping and to help her navigate those couple, like 2.5 weeks where it was really, really dragging her. And that is resiliency shining when you can just say, okay, I need to do something to work with this. I'm not going to keep going downward. And fortunately, we have these tools, right? So for all of you listening and watching, think about the times when you've had difficulty getting through something. And I was just working with somebody yesterday, and she kept trying to think her way through it and, find a way, find a way. And she's a problem solver and she knows how to do these things. But it was actually pushing down the negative thoughts. No, I can't work with that. I got to let that go. I got to go over here. And she has several ways to distract herself from it. And yeah, that's good, especially if it's really intense. But the best way that you can work through it is to acknowledge it, become aware of it and acknowledge it. And of course, use the tapping to keep yourself grounded while you acknowledge it.
Mhm.
Then that inner voice within you feels heard and it won't keep knocking. It's kind of like it's knocking and it gets louder and louder when we try to put it aside. Is that true for you, Candy? Have you experienced that?
Yeah, I mean, I know if I had to listen to that voice, that inner voice that was trying to tell me, oh, things are, just stay where you are. This is the best that it's going to be. And it's okay. It's going to be okay just as it is. I'd be, I could say I would not be happy. And I can say, since I made this choice and this decision, my life is, and my perspective has changed 180 degrees. Things are still, there's still a lot of unknown variables occurring in my life and stuff, but other things have been opening up, and I'm just like, to the amazement and the wonderment that, wow, this was very different from a couple weeks ago where I could barely see straight. So I
Yeah.
believe that this is my testament that the people you choose to surround yourself with have a greater impact on you. So be careful of who you put in your inner circle.
Yeah. And sometimes the inner circle, whether it's family, friends, or work situations, etc., you think that it's a good thing, it looks okay, and then little by little you realize, oh no. And so if you really listen to your body, because your body tells you first, it never lies. And you start getting that issue right in your stomach and you're getting nauseous or your gut is roiling or whatever happens to you, a big headache, backache, all those things, pay attention.
Mhm.
And you may not even know what it is right away. I think sometimes in those situations when that individual or group is affecting us, we know, but sometimes we don't. We just say, okay, what is this? What's going on here? And do some introspection, using. So tell me right now, Candy, is there some residual resistance and fear
Oh yeah,
that,
there's some. I mean, I still have some residual resistance that wants to pop up, but I'm like, no, 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 we're not going there. I'm not available to that. But it doesn't mean it doesn't stop trying
yeah,
to show up. And
yes,
I hear that nudging voice. Oh, what about this? What about that? Are you sure about this? Did you?
yeah. Yes.
you
So what happens is this is the voice that always comes up. This is our inner child, our shadow. Originally it was called the ego, then the shadow. Um, there is another word called echo. It's all part of this memory of the experiences we've had, the influences on us as we were being raised and educated, etc. So it's always there. and its only job is to protect us. So
Mhm.
it's going to pop up when it senses this threat. Like, oh no, don't go there. That's dangerous. Don't step out. Don't shine. It's too dangerous. And however we protected ourselves when we were young is how we will show up again. So listening to this voice may cause us to fight against it or to run and flee or my go-to, people please. And
Mhm.
a lot of us do that kind of stuff. So recognize when you have some resistance. So let's just tap on that, Candy, a little bit. And so for all of you listening, watching, consider anything in your life, kind of go over the last week or so or the month and just see what has been coming up for you, repeating in your mind about possibly not taking that step. That's is the next step, that there's a little resistance there. And of course, you can go for it and really tap on extreme resistance, but let's just do this residual, this niggling, nudging voice that shows up in our brain,
Mhm.
and recognize. So let's go there. So, Candy, first of all, just kind of do your body scan. All of you listening, watching, do the same. Top of the head to the bottom of your feet. Feel into your body. And as you think about resistance and this resiliency that you really wish you could always have, and the resistance that pops up, where does that show up in your body? What happens as when you get that little voice in your head? There is a body sensation just before you get the voice. We bypass it. Think about that. What happens with you, Candy?
I usually get a knot in my stomach, basically my solar plexus, my
Yeah.
my gut area that just feels uncomfortable. That's usually a pretty good indicator for me that things are not
Yes.
on the up and up. And
Yeah. As you're feeling through, you look for that discomfort, unease. There can be pain and aches. There can be any sensation going on. So solar plexus, which ranges from the bottom of the rib cage down to the navel, right in that core. This one shows up a lot when it's action that we need to take. And
Mhm.
it takes us back to a time in our lives when maybe we needed to read out loud in school and we didn't do well. Maybe we couldn't spell. Maybe we were trying to complete a math problem, stand at the front of the room and recite something. All those different things
Mhm.
can show up. And, even from earlier ages when we tried to do things and we were thwarted, don't you do that? Right. So it can be anywhere.
Mhm.
Feeling into that part of your body. Now, if you have something else somewhere else, sometimes it's down lower in that what we call the second chakra in that sacral area of belly button down to the pelvic area, and then of course the root right where you're sitting in your chair, if you're in your car, if you're, anywhere, all that's solid around you, your body and everything that's solid around you is your first chakra, the root chakra. That's where fear resides mostly, there in the second. But it will really stop you in that third at solar plexus when you try to do something, right? And when you say to yourself, I can do this, the heart will push it back down and try to protect you there. So it's like all those lower chakras where we get all this negativity can build up. So just feel into that area. And as we look at this issue of resistance, I'm feeling mine too, and it's sort of definitely up in that upper solar plexus, pushing upward. And I catch it in my chest, like shortness of breath, a little bit inability to do that, and maybe some rapid heartbeat for me. So as we look at that, Candy, what is the intensity from 0 to 10 on how strong this is? When we get up to a 10, we're like close to panic, right?
Say probably right now about a 4, but it feels like a wall. If and not so much a knot, but like a almost like a brick wall type thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like feeling it's popping up to kind of bounce me backwards.
Hmm. Yeah, bounce backwards. I love it. Not that I love that, but feel into it, everybody. What is it for you? This wall that comes up blocks everything, not only from us doing things, but from others entering and giving to us what we need. So it's a huge block, even at a level 4. And when we worked on this before, we were way up there in the numbers. I've definitely been there a lot, where we get all the way up into the 8, 9, 10, right?
Mhm.
So let's look at this. 4 is right there where there's still something and there's still this wall. We may have this determination and this resiliency, but now we got to climb a wall. Got to repel the wall like we're in the special forces or something. Oh gosh, that's a reflection of my army days. Okay, that was another lifetime. All right, so let's just begin to do some tapping. When we get down to a 4, we don't need that setup point, but it's like at a 3 or 4, we don't really need it. We can just jump right in. Um, but I think I want to start there for everyone who's watching and listening. So wherever your number is, get that, feel into your body. And we'll start with the side of the hand. It runs from the base of the pinky down to the wrist, just that side portion, and you tap with the fingertips of your other hand. You can do that with either hand. You can even, tap them together and just tap. And Candy will repeat after me, and you guys can do it at home. I should caution you right now before we start, if you are driving, you may want to wait until later and you can come back to the recording and do this. You can download and save it. Or if you're able, pull over to a safe area, into a shady place in a parking lot or something, and go for it. Okay, just take a breath, feel the sensations in your body, all this resistance. Okay, Candy, even though there's some residual resistance,
Even though there's some residual resistance,
I'm willing to let some of it go.
I'm willing to let some of it go.
And even though I feel this push and this wall against resiliency,
Even though I feel this push in this wall against resiliency
right here and right now,
right here and right now,
I recognize it as my truth.
I recognize it as my truth.
Even though there's some remaining resistance
Even though there's some remaining resistance
and a fear of stepping out,
and a fear of stepping out,
I am open to releasing that today.
I am open to releasing that today.
Okay, so through the points, the eyebrow. Wow, if I allow this to go on,
Wow, if I allow this to go on,
out of the eye, I can be digging a big hole
I could be digging a big hole.
under eye. And I might find myself at the bottom of that hole,
And I might find myself at the bottom of that hole.
under the nose. This has been something that's happened before.
This has been something that's happened before.
On the chin, I'm feeling this wall right in my solar plexus,
I'm feeling this wall right in my solar plexus.
collarbone, this residual resistance
This residual resistance
to going forward, underarm going forward,
to going forward.
top of the head, I know that life happens.
I know that life happens,
Eyebrow. And I often choose not to align with the negativity.
and I often choose not to align with the negativity.
Side of the eye. But if I start giving in,
But if I start giving in,
under eye, I feel like I won't be able to come back.
I feel like I won't be able to come back.
Under nose, I'm choosing this challenge.
I'm choosing this challenge
Chin, to break down at least some of this wall.
to break down at least some of this wall,
Collarbone, to gain a new perspective.
to gain a new perspective.
Underarm, to see beyond the wall.
To see beyond the wall.
Top of the head, because right now I can't see straight.
Because right now I can't see straight.
Eyebrow, if I keep thinking this way,
If I keep thinking this way,
side of the eye, my brain stays foggy.
my brain stays foggy.
Under eye. So I'm open to releasing some of this resistance.
So I'm open to releasing some of this resistance.
Your nose, this resistance that builds this wall.
This resistance that builds this wall.
Chin, this wall in my solar plexus.
This wall in my solar plexus.
I'm open to breaking down it one by one brick.
I'm open to breaking down it one by one breath.
Underarm, one brick at a time.
One by one brick at a time.
Top of the head, letting go of some of the anxiety.
Letting go of some of the anxiety.
Eyebrow, the fear of stepping forward.
The fear of stepping forward.
Letting go of the what if questions.
Letting go of the what if questions.
Under the eye, and open to new perspective.
And open to new perspectives.
Under nose, open to what the universe has for me.
Open to what the universe has for me.
Chin, allowing my mind to clear.
Allowing my mind to clear.
Letting go of fear.
Letting go of fear.
Underarm, quieting that nudging voice.
Quieting that nudging voice.
Top of the head, untying that knot in my solar plexus.
Untying that knot in my solar plexus.
Eyebrow, bringing the wall down.
Bringing the wall down.
Side of the eye, so I can see beyond it.
So I can see beyond it.
Under eye, allowing myself to step forward.
Allowing myself to step forward.
Under nose, one step at a time.
One step at a time.
Chin, embracing resiliency.
Embracing resiliency.
Collarbone, feeling resilient.
Feeling resilient.
From the top of my head to my toes.
From the top of my head to my toes.
And open to all the possibilities.
And open to all the possibilities.
Stay on the collarbone area. Open to all the possibilities.
Open to all the possibilities.
Knowing that the path is not straight.
Knowing that the path is not straight.
It winds and goes up and down.
It winds and goes up and down.
But I do know that I am on the right path.
But I do know that I am on the right path.
For my highest good and greatest joy.
For my highest good and greatest joy.
And the highest good and joy of all.
And for my highest good and joy of all.
All right, just take a nice breath and shake it out. Hands are tingling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an indication of moving energy. Candy's yawning. That's energy moving. So just feel into that again. How does it feel in the solar plexus?
It feels like it's the walls much smaller. I
Yeah.
mean, small enough that I could walk over it.
Yeah, step right over it. And what's really cool about that, just feeling into that, where are you now? 0 to 4.
I would say probably about a 0.
Awesome, perfect. So this is great because the wall, the shadow, the inner child, whatever image that you and your subconscious mind pictures, it doesn't have to completely go away. Once it's heard and acknowledged, it can remain there at ease instead of on hyper alert and be there when you need it.
Mm.
Because, of course, this is coming from that fight, flight, freeze, fawn, or people please response. And it's always going to be there, always going to protect you. And we need it when we need to run from a burning building, or we need to stand up and show up and speak up for others and for ourselves, all of those different ways. So, everybody, you can see how powerful this process is. It can happen within a few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I know during the height of my um, overwhelm, I was going through a lot of stress and anxiety. I would tap for maybe 30 seconds, and I would, and here's something I can pass on. I don't know if you do this, Candy, but tapping can be done in a very slow way, peaceful, quiet way, or rapidly. And I found that if I meet the emotion where it is,
Mm-hmm.
like anxiety is always sort of hyper. It's really like, oh my God, oh my God. So I would just start that way. Oh my God, I'm so frustrated. I'm so frustrated. And I would tap the collarbone. That's my place. I just, oh my gosh, this is terrible. I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle it. And very, very quickly, it would start to soften and slow down. My rapid heartbeat, my breath would calm down. And then I would be into, okay, I'm just going to acknowledge how I feel. Of course, I'd be afraid, or of course, I'd be upset. And it
Yeah.
would calm right down. I think if we're more in that lower range, excuse me, of sadness, then it's softer. It's like give yourself compassion. You can even rub on those collarbone points or anywhere. You don't have to actually tap them. You can just sort of gently rub them, massage them, or just place your hand on your heart and gently tap so that you're coming out of that busy mind. Does that make sense to you, Candy, while I grab some water?
It does make sense. I mean, it's about, you're right. It's about meeting that emotion, whatever emotion is that you're experiencing, where it's at.
Mhm.
And kind of the picture I got when you were talking about that is that little, for me, that little Candy who's running rampant, trying to jump into the driver's seat, scared, panicking, going, what about this?
Yes.
What about that? You just meet her where she's at and reassure her that you hear her, you see her, and you're going to take care of things.
Yeah, and you can
Mhm.
you can give her something to do. Like if like for instance, we need to sit down at our laptops, we need to do some work, and she's there and she's like wanting to, for me, she wants to go play, she wants to get outside, and I know I've been ignoring her and I need to do that, but I need to get this one thing done. So we can actually give this part of us something to do.
Mhm.
It's okay. You can go over there. You can play. You can do what you want to do. I promise I'll be back in an hour and we'll go do something or go take a nap. You can, sometimes we see this part of us as a gremlin, right?
Yeah.
Or, as that troll under the bridge. It doesn't, it, it's like when we think about gnomes in the garden, they're sweet, they're above ground, but the others are underneath and they have all this baggage they drag around with them. You can picture that and just say, okay, You stay there. You go take a nap. Here's a blankie, right? Don't have to come along with you, but understand that it's coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
I'd love to share this one story because I do a lot of voice dialogue with my clients. We literally speak to the shadow.
Mhm.
And so it can be the inner child, and we see her, and we've done that with you, Candy, where she's like 3 years old and
Mhm.
she has to deal with, she's already parentified child who has to take care of stuff. Um, but sometimes it's like, if it's fear, it's just big fear. And I ask people to, like, how do you see this? Describe it. And sometimes it's a person or an archetypal figure, an animal, can be anything, can be just a piece of gunk, right?
Mhm.
So this one woman saw a man who looked like a mafia boss, like a
Mm.
really powerful, oh my God, scary, you know, you don't want to get in their way.
Mhm.
Um, by the end of the tapping, we tapped while talking to fear and thanking fear for showing up and protecting her. And then telling it, well, I know you think you're protecting me, but you're actually hurting me. And we did this whole dialogue. It was really great. But in the end, I said, well, how is it now? And her numbers were down. She was great. She said, um, it's Sean Connery as 007 in his tuxedo. And I thought, oh my goodness, still a strong, powerful figure who can protect, right? So have some fun with this, everyone. Allow your subconscious mind to show you what you need to see.
Mhm.
And know that often when we're working on that first issue, it's really not the actual issue that's causing this reaction. There's something underneath it that is there. And sometimes it'll surprise you. You might get a tear. You might sneeze. You might really laugh. Who knows? But just say, well, of course, that's you. Play around with it and
Mm.
know, mine was sadness for a long time. And I would just stop and say, well, hello, sadness. There you are again. And I knew it was my little weepy, needy little girl, and she just needed some attention. Like, oh, sorry for ignoring you, right?
Yeah. Our, excuse me. Our inner child, he or she will react until you pay attention. And the
Yeah,
truth is most of us just want to be heard. We want to be
exactly. Yeah,
understood, but heard for whatever we're saying.
right.
And if I have found, even with this situation that I encountered, I let the person talk. And at the end, I said, I hear you. Now, didn't mean I agreed with her, but
Yes,
I
I
said, I
hear
hear
you.
what you're saying.
Yeah,
And
so let's, tap that in, everyone. This part, you never have to fix it when you're dealing with an emotion that's a negative situation, feeling. You never have to fix it. You need to acknowledge it and voice it, honor it. And you can end with, I'm just going to honor how I feel. You do not have to fix it. But if you can go to like where Candy is and I am right now, you can reinforce that feeling. So let's just do a little bit of that, Candy.
okay,
All right. So just tapping through the points, start with the eyebrow. Well, I've been through a lot,
I've been through a lot,
side of the eye, and I know that life happens.
and I know that life happens,
Under eye, and I am open to accepting,
and I'm open to accepting
under nose, life on life terms.
life on life's terms.
Chin, I will do my best,
I will do my best
collarbones, to move myself forward
to move myself forward
towards my goals.
towards my goals.
underarm, knowing that once I take a step
knowing that once I take a step,
ahead, the next step will show up for me.
the next step will show up for me.
Eyebrow, even though it can be kind of wonky,
Even though it can be kind of wonky
side of the eye, and I can't always see the whole path.
and I can't always see the whole path.
Under eye, I know it's opening up for me.
I know it's opening up for me.
Under the nose, and I'm open to releasing any fear and resistance.
And I'm open to releasing any fear and resistance.
Chin, open to being resilient.
Open to being resilient,
Collarbones, one step at a time.
one step at a time.
And just let it go and breathe. And of course, you can continue that kind of tapping, reinforcing. It's really powerful. When we talk about that one step, when we take one step, the path is never that clear. And we know that it can take some turns and all that sort of thing. But no, it's like that Indiana Jones movie, right? Where they're on the top of this big crevasse where they're going to fall into oblivion. And he hears the voice and then suddenly decides to put his foot out. All of us watching, everyone there within the movie is like, no, puts that foot out, and suddenly the path all the way across opens up. It's like, yeah, it's a movie and it's special effects, but that is how it works. If you just, don't worry about all of the steps you have to take. Start with one. I'm open to taking these steps forward.
Yep.
Feel, Candy.
I feel good.
All
Thank you.
right, this is beautiful. I want to thank everyone for being here and for tapping along with us. Please continue on. Make note of the links that I leave you below because we've got so much to share with you. And I want to make sure that you always hear from us. So hit that like and that notification button and stay tuned. And see us over on the Awaken Hope Show too. Remember, you are loved because I see you. I see your beauty. I see your resilience. I see your light. Shine brightly.